$50 gift card on, I really don't
Yeah,
want to spend a.
yeah. Get that new away hat, bro. Yo, it is. We're back again. It's October 1st. We were talking about experiences in food and how moments of trauma have somewhat either made us stronger or made us the fucked up human beings that we were one way or another.
Yeah.
That also I think adds a parallel when you are in a resident in Detroit and the surrounding metropolitan areas and your sports teams in Detroit. Because the Tigers, while I'm incredibly happy that they made the playoffs in 10 years, they almost gave everybody in the state of Michigan that watched a fucking heart attack. But 19 days ago, when the man behind the name of Make City Make Spence, Sean Spence, Adam Hernandez, and myself, Garrett Comas, last gathered on a Make City Make Spence, we weren't having a heart attack. We were just getting out a lot of.
We were full of sadness.
It was a somber time.
We were deep in our thoughts. We weren't going to talk about off the field concerns with marketing, branding, communication, but we did, and it turned out to be a good needed thing. We were also concerned because we talked about a 2-3 game windows prior to that, where Detroit City in the first of the 3 game runs took 7 out of 9 points, draw at Las Vegas, win at Birmingham, win at Tampa. Great, holy fuck, we did that. To then follow it up the next 3 game run with loss at home to Tulsa, draw at home to Hartford, draw at El Paso, bottom there, 2 points out of 9. What in the absolute fuck?
Yeah.
To then get to these next 3 games that were taking place, the Western Conference leaders, New Mexico United, the Eastern Conference leaders, Louisville City, at Monterey Bay FC, who have a dot between the F and C and annoys the ever-living shit out of Adam. As he's shaking his head now as I'm bringing that up. We were hoping maybe 2 points between New Mexico and Louisville. We're like, no expectations. Fuck it. I started being yupping my white tea in the media tent from New Mexico. What happened? We won all 3.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sean Spence, we have the last episode title was, I believe, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, Distinctively Detroit City FC. Not only is this distinctive, this is a fascinating case of Detroit City FC. So, 1, how are you, my friend? And 2, what the fuck has gone on these last 3 weekends?
Well, we talked the last time about at least my contribution was that I really felt like we were not getting the kind of play we needed out of the midfield. And that was where we were, we talked about a John Morrissey piece where he talked about that. And, it looks to me like we were not the only people seeing that. And so they made some adjustments. Really, honestly, kind of all they did was flip Maxi and Lai. Now it keeps saying in the lineup graphic that Maxi's playing at the 10, but he's not. Like he's playing, he is still the straw that stirs the drink, right? He's still the guy who's scheming how to get through this, but his scheming begins at the 2/3 point instead of the 1/3 point. He's back there with James, and they're finding ways to make our build-up more productive, and it's worked. And it turns out that was the problem, because once we cleaned that up and stopped turning the ball over so much, kind of in unprovoked situations, turns out we do have enough offense to win matches. So. Yeah, it's been fantastic. It really does kind of mirror what happened with the Tigers, where they seem to be hitting a low ebb. They didn't make moves. I mean, they made anti moves at the deadline.
Yeah.
And then did the major league might as well win the whole fucking thing. Like like, all right, let's go. And City is on that trajectory now. They're going to need to maintain it for a few more matches. But the way they're playing, I don't think they're dogs against any of these teams, even Charleston. I think, they could come the way they're playing. If they can maintain this level, they will, if not win out, they'll come close to doing so. And we'll not only have a home playoff match, but like, be quite heavy favorites in that match. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We criticized, and Adam, I don't know if you were gonna pop in here whenever you want to with a question on the flow. When we last talked, Maxi Rodriguez was 13 games without a goal and an assist. The next game against New Mexico, Detroit City wins a penalty. As Adam recalled, I think talked about it in the Total Talk in some of our either DCFC chats or anything like that, kind of causing havoc for New Mexico United, forced them to give a penalty. Maxi ended the goal drought. He then scores again against Louisville. So on September 23rd, the day after the Louisville City FC game, Maxi Rodriguez posts something on Instagram that says, "Had someone tell me I fell off, needed that." I'm not saying that it was these fine before that. However, we should have done it fucking.
I gotta say, I don't know Maxi like that. Maybe if he listens, holla, put little praise hands. But it isn't just like a tactical change. He looks reinvigorated and really sharp again. Like, I really think he kind of likes this position a lot. I think he likes that, being the schemer who pops up in the box, instead of trying to knit it all together right in the, by standing in zone 14 and making incredible plays. That's just not his game. But he's so smart and so gifted at breaking, like it's one thing for us to sit there and look at, we're watching a match from up on the stands and we've got eye in the sky stuff and data and everything else. So when you're playing, it's like the match is going past you like you're caught in a flood. And you're just trying to and he's a dude who can routinely, is walking on water, just untroubled by, the chaos around him. And when he's like that, you see why, that's why somebody like Danny was like, okay, I want to build a team around that dude. Cause that's pretty special. And not related to technical skill really. So
something.
What are your thoughts on? Just real quick.
All right, sorry.
Garrett, Sean, another guy we were kind of talking about a few weeks ago was Reese Williams and his. I don't want to say ability or inability, but just maybe his somewhat ineffectiveness, in a sense, within the 11 players that are on the field. What have been your impressions of Reese over these past run of games that we've had here where they've won?
I mean, the guys look like they're improving over the course of the season, and these are the NISA All-Stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reese, Maxi, Stevie, Devin, Michael,
Nate,
Nate, right?
That was
they've, okay, so Reese Williams, was a defensive midfielder when he played for Stumptown, and covered a lot of ground, obviously, but a lot of ground side to side, and I think Trevor I was thinking, okay, he's a wing back. He's got a great motor, and I always compared him to an SEC defensive back. He physically looks like that. He's he's reasonably tall, he's reasonably thick. He's got a lot of pace, and he's got a crazy motor. But he's really worked to groove his limitations, and this is the same. These guys have been coached up, right? Connor, Reese, I would say Stevie, honestly. He's taking up different positions now. He's playing slightly more cover back, just to like, okay, well, I'm just not going to get in a position where, you know, the time it takes me to turn around, they're past me. Just, you know, that sucks. I'm never letting that happen. And you know, you watching the guys like work on different things. Lai was a straight up defensive midfielder when he came here. And struggled with ball retention, struggled with being clean enough on the ball, and now he like, because Maxi's moved backward, that gives Lai a lot more sort of freedom to just carry the ball into like if he sees a chance to have our buildup be him just dribbling 40 yards of the ball, he does it like immediately. And, you know, he does it at pace. And like, now I think they're probably working with him on the end product at the end of the dribbling run, right? A lot of times he'll kind of get up into the attacking zone, and then it's clear he hasn't formulated a plan for how this is going to end. It's sort of like, well, and now I'm here. You know, he kind of like, you know, stands on the ball like what's the rum? It's like Captain Morgan. He kind of Captain Morgan's on the ball, and then the offense kind of flows around him, and he's like, and then we go on and play. So that's the next thing. But I mean, at this point, I have no doubt that he's going to add that piece, because, you know, his dribbling has gone from okay to pretty exceptional, and you know, he's a load. Like when he gets going with the ball, he's not a shifty little dribbler. Like he's kind of a fullback. If we're going to talk about, you know, we're going to keep blurring the lines which sport we're talking about. He's a gridiron fullback. Like, you know, he's coming right at you, knees high, like, you know, and so yeah, it's a really good mix of cleverness and physicality that the midfield has evolved into, and I think that mix is giving the other teams kind of a hard time. And it really has allowed James to just chill and do his shit. You know what I'm saying? Like being a ball circulating anchor, like that's his jam. And he's, you know, Maxi's good enough alongside him now, where I think Lai kind of struggled with the mental game of being a double pivot, or when are you not. Maxi seems to just like give everyone confidence around him, and because he picks his moments so well that like it's kind of impeccable. When you go back over the game, you're like, geez, I mean, he's always, you know, when you're saying, okay, in 3 seconds there needs to be somebody here, there's Maxi, and it's that way. That's how he scores his goals. If you're playing Football Manager and we want someone to play like Maxi, you need to put a defensive midfielder on the segundo volante role, and they will do what he's doing, but maybe not as well, because I mean he's playing like MVP football right now.
I think I want to get your thought on this too, the two part of this. So I think also going to the James Murphy thing and getting comfortable in this role, got to give a shout out to the Puck and Kate household, because Kate has a good running joke now with James Murphy. Adam,
what's that?
And that is, they have, I think, a board or whatever she has or carries in now of how it's been this many matches now since James Murphy last got a yellow card.
Oh, it's like the workplace accident sign.
Yes, yeah.
It's been X days.
Yeah. Which
I think he's at 3.
Yeah, he's at 3. He's fucking laughing his ass. James loves it. So that's one of those good fucking things there. So this is a connection question to what you were talking about with the NISA All-Stars, and also related to what we're seeing with the roles. So seems like these last few matches, City is from what I'm seeing in games. I think John's talked about it a little bit from what I'm seeing in FOTMob SofaScore. I have to follow the FOTMob SofaScore shapes because the club's graphic never gets the fucking formation right. I mean, they've made some. Yeah.
Well, you know, like at this point, I feel like most of the clubs in the world are just fucking with us.
Yeah.
Like they're like theoretically this might be 1/80th of an ounce of advantage for the opponent to know this precisely, so we're not going to give it to you. And instead we're going to put out the shit in the most indecipherable way, or we're going to imply a formation that is completely wrong.
Yeah.
You know, okay, but I mean, there's like it's not like like formation graphics in some ways are kind of an antiquated thing. You know, like you doesn't matter what formation most teams line up in to begin with anymore. You tend to like go into a 3-2-5 in attack,
Yeah.
And fall back into either a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1 without the ball. Like that's almost every team in the world.
So it seems like City's been what they were starting off for a lot of the season in their breakout role, doing a 4 at the back. They seem to start to become really comfortable with the Michael, Steven, Devin center back trident.
Right.
Reese and Alex wingbacks, and either like a 3-4-3 meets 3-5-2, depending on Lai's positioning on the ball, and then occasionally like a 5-3-2 off of it.
Right.
And feel like how are you feeling? Do you feel like that the shape that we've done these last few has been a part of why we've been getting these results, and two, you talked about these all-stars.
Yeah.
We've talked, and I've mentioned this on air in a couple things, and a man that's been plenty under fire of our criticisms for a couple of years, just because he seems like he was always in a lineup come hell or high water, but has had to really work his way back into the lineup this year and has been rewarded with goals in consecutive games, that being Connor.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember who said this in the Discord, but at this point, if you're a Ruts hater, you need to just sort of sit back and have a seat and think about yourself, because this dude has convinced now okay, if your contention was that he was constantly playing because he was Trevor's find and he was our local guy in the lineup or whatever. Okay, well, I'm sure that doesn't apply to Danny Dicchio. And it was clear that Connor was not in the plan early in the season. He was not making the bench. He wasn't hurt. He was, a healthy scratch sitting down on the massage table. Like one match when I was there. And, that's like Danny Espeleta was too, that game. And, seeing those guys work their way back into the reckoning, to see them. The thing about Connor is that we had all of this rotation. We had this, you basically, when you need a big roster is when you've got more than one game a week. Usually, that's kind of the rule of thumb in football. If you're playing one game a week, you could probably get by with 14, 15 guys. But if you're really, if you're playing twice a week, repeatedly, bang, 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 you're going to need to go 18 deep. And, I was really wondering whether Connor was seizing those opportunities when he was getting minutes during the time. But clearly he was playing well. He was coming around, playing well in practice. He's clearly kind of won the coaches over. And he does provide some things like that are very high level. Like his, especially if you're talking about him as a pressing forward, like the amount of pressures and sprints and like, pressures on the ball and all those kind of defensive actions you get out of him is like, like second 11 in the entire league, like really, really good. So, that's always been the thing with him is like, if he can just be a supporting piece, just not hinder the offensive flow, then he's a net positive because his defensive contributions are almost always through the roof, reliably very good. Kind of like super low rent Gabriel Jesus, like a forward who's notoriously best at the defensive parts of the role. And this is what I say when I say these guys have been coached up. Like, he's grooved his faults. He has figured out what he can and cannot do. He doesn't and he's worked on it enough that it seems to starting to become instinctive, where he's not dribbling into those double team traps anymore, where he doesn't have anything like the nous to like get through there. He is more sort of head up and cautious with the ball, and it means he's not turning it over as much. And then in the moments where there's a goal to be had, like his very good instincts take over, and he produces. Ben has been a long, slow climb, like trying to keep him confident, but like you can see now, like how well schooled he has been. Like, he is such a consummate professional forward. He makes the right decision, he makes the right run. He's like so reliably good, that even if he's never great, it's okay. Like, he's playing very good football. And like it's really, it's kind of mind-blowing, really, how just a little success and a little confidence has put the wind in their sails. And football's tricky. That we could go out and dominate the next match and give up a fluke goal and have a frustrating night, and now we're back to wondering what's real. But
Success is contagious in a sense. So.
But yeah, I do. It does feel like the guys have the bit in their teeth now. Like, okay, there's it's like you went through the kind of, it's just impossible to keep that like diamond hard readiness through a long ass season with like all kinds of congestion. Like, eventually the matches just turn into womp womp womp. You're just like, oh, what city are we in? Who are we playing? Okay, yeah, all right. And now, okay, we're down to like 8 matches, 7 matches, 4 matches. That's a number you can focus on. That's a like a list you can keep in your head. And yeah, we look fantastic. I would be surprised if we don't hold this position at the least.
How do you feel? What's your thoughts going with that 3 shape? That 3-4-3-3-5-2. I feel like I think it's getting a lot out of. It's really making, I think, the Morris Rustin. You can see why those two look together. It's also watch a daytime Keyworth match and you're not there. Like, if you're watching on TV, it's so fucking hard to get those. You get those two mixed up so easily because of.
Yeah, they do. They are very similar, like size, shape, collar dudes.
Same running, except Ben's slightly quicker.
Yeah, Ben's a little quicker, and I think like Connor's a little tiny bit skinnier than Ben.
Same.
But I mean, like when they're running, like, who can tell? Yeah. So, well, I just lost the thing I was just about to.
The shape.
On. Oh, the shape. I have this theory that really the best like football tactics like these, like when you're watching Man City do their thing, that there are things they prepared for that match, but the overall shape in a lot of ways, like, it's not just a process of like, this is how we want to play, here's a diagram, and then we're going to teach you how to execute it. It's also it's more organic than that. Like, the players' games feed into it, because if you design a system that requires the players to go against their propensities, you're gonna like it's not gonna work. So in that case, you kind of grow these tactics or grow familiarity with them or whatever. And what we're seeing now is City haven't fully kind of bedded into this shape where it's the same basic shape. It's just sometimes in the early season we often played a wing back on both sides, and where that Matt was playing, in place of Michael on the right. But more recently, I think the solidity that Michael gives us and the threat from set pieces and the cover on set pieces that Michael gives us is really fantastic. And he, really is not a wing back. He's again, in Football Manager, this would be an inside fullback role. He's a fullback, but he's not going to press forward. He's going to kind of maintain the line of a 3, but keep the width too. I think it's just they've just kind of grown into it a little bit. And then once they move Maxie back there, then Maxie I think is more able to give Michael help on the ball, where he doesn't get caught, because they do target him. They do run to. They often try to do a double team against the touch line on Michael, and with Maxie in there, it's a lot. He's usually showing to help quickly. He'll see that thing coming and kind of get that way, and so Michael just plays it first time to Maxie before the double team arrives, instead of taking the ball down and taking a touch and looking around and getting swarmed and turning the ball over, which we have seen. So I don't know. It's I'm sure that at the very least, Ben Pierman is scheming how to upset this apple cart. And we play Charleston soon.
I do have to say that because you're mentioning Michael, I do have to commend him on, again, he's a very good player. He's really fit well within his role, on that back line, especially, going in and playing for, filling in for sets for a guy like Matty, who is obviously retired before the end of the season. But what he was able to do to Philip Goodrum against Lou City 2 weeks ago, well, almost 2 weeks ago, just goading him into that first yellow, and then goading him into that second yellow, which obviously got the red. It's with those two games, it seems like they forced New Mexico and they forced Lou City into making mistakes in different ways. Obviously, they that press early on and that pressure early on against New Mexico got the penalty, and they capitalized on it, and they were able to kind of hold New Mexico off.
Mm-hmm.
That second game, or against Lou City, Michael played a big part in there, getting under the skin of Philip Goodrum, who I think in that match was making his first start for Lou City. His first time in the starting 11, and it kind of fell flat that game, which is good for Detroit City. But yeah, I really liked how they took these different approaches into kind of putting pressure on two of the best teams in the league, and it ultimately worked for them because they came away with 2 wins. And once Monterey Bay came around, I thought it was a different tactic that they were using, but just because I think that they were far and away the better team than Monterey Bay, and they didn't have to quite make the different adjustments for that team.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't. I think Monterey Bay, they didn't they weren't as much concerned with cover. Although Monterey Bay is a team that like all the teams in this league can hurt you if you're disrespectful. Sure. I think that's what we that's what we learned, during the chop and change portion of the season is like, look, we're not on that level where we can like go on cruise control and like
Thing
keep
happened
winning.
against Tulsa. I think we mentioned it happening against Tulsa.
Right.
It seemed like
Yeah.
they kind of
Kind of
sat
over
back too much.
rotated and like, yeah. And then
Yep.
and it's really difficult to get a team, even though you'd think like, okay, these guys are wanting to grab minutes, and wanting to show they've got the stuff. But I mean, like that doesn't usually translate into the match. Like what does
Yeah.
translate is confusion, lethargy, the starters feeling like, well, okay, we're, like half the starting team isn't here. So the ones who are starting are kind of like, this is a little bit like a friendly, like, I mean, like you're telling yourself, no, okay, I can't think that way. I can't think that way. I can't think that way. But like, then the match kicks off and like, oh, okay, everyone's obviously thinking that way. And so, yeah, I think that we, if we go on to do great things in the postseason, let's say, I think we will view that portion of the season as like where we had all our fantasies stripped away, where it was like, no, you're a team of scrappers, you're going to get in there and scrap. That's it. Like anything less than all you got is going to get dismissed. So, we'll see. But it's like at the very least, this has been a great 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
And I think this leads me to a good question about what we've done work on our own to help get us to where we're at in the table right now. At the time of recording this, Detroit City is not just holding on to the last playoff spot; they are in third place. Tampa Bay Rowdies, although Tampa Bay Rowdies Hartford Athletic did not happen due to Hurricane Helene hitting. So our thoughts with everyone in the southeastern United States that have been affected by that. Hopefully on there, and who knows when that Rowdies Hartford match is going to be played. It'll be a midweek sometime coming up. But point being, we've made ground, but has it almost been more impressive for us in that how much the teams below us, Sean, haven't been able to not just not capitalize on opportunities, but completely slip on the peels?
I don't tend to look at it match by match and go like, we won and they lost, like, haha, they lost. But like, I know that most people think of it that way, and I can try to answer your question, but if I'm honest, that's not how I think of it. Like, you're going to play everybody the same amount of times as everyone else. Like what I'm seeing is that nobody who's chasing us is in any kind of form. Hartford, maybe. But they are way back, they are 11 points back of us. With like what, four games to play. So like 12 points on offer, they're 11 points back. Like, unless we lose out and they win out, they're finishing behind us. And that's the only team really in form that's behind us. Indy 11, you could say maybe, like, they have been playing pretty well, but they give up as many as they score over the season.
Yeah.
And they did kick the shit out of us in the Open Cup. So I think, honestly, I tend to think that the next time we play them, our guys are going to kind of feel like they owe them a little kicking,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time imagining us slipping below fourth, given where we are in the season. But I've been wrong before, and I will continue to be wrong. I'm sure going forward.
I think to give you a rundown, kind of, Indy ended a little skid. They had a 4-0 win, I think, or 4-1 over the weekend, but it was against Miami, who have a grand total of 11 points in the East conference this year. And then the next
negative 46 goal difference.
yeah, that's bad.
That's over a goal and a half a game.
FC Indiana wasn't even that bad in NPSL days.
Ooh, this is that. Yeah, I mean that's an organization that is packing up the tents. Like, they're not even like making it like it's insane.
But then you were talking about this kid from 11th to 8th. So 11th being Pittsburgh Riverhounds, 10th North Carolina FC, 9th Hartford Loudon. There's 2 points.
Yep.
And then between 7th and 5th, 1 point, and 7th and 4th, 4 points, which leads you into this week. So you got 6th place Indy. You got 5th place Indy at 43 points hosting Louisville City.
Mm-hmm.
You got bottom feeders Miami hosting a Pittsburgh Riverhounds side who were kicking themselves probably for blowing the lead against Birmingham Legion last weekend.
Yes.
You have 9th versus 8th in 9th place Hartford hosting Loudon. 6 is playing 4 in Rhode Island hosting Tampa Bay Rowdies.
That's a good match.
And then on Sunday, you have Birmingham Legion hosting North Carolina FC. Indy's makeup game before they play up, their game in hand, I should say, before they play us next weekend, is on the 8th against Loudon, which leads to our matchup this weekend, Saturday, October 5th, 4 p.m. One of 3 4 p.m. games, both home and away for Detroit City this month. The only one that's not at 4 o'clock is the last match of the regular season at 9:30 in San Antonio. Like,
yeah.
I know fucking time. Charleston Battery, a team that is in 2nd place. They are 6 points behind Louisville, although they've played 1 more game. They have 11 more points than us, and they do have the record USL championship season goal scorer in Nick Markanich. However, what Charleston Battery do not have this season is a win over Detroit City. In fact, on June 15th, with Sean being next to me in media for part of that game, and all of us running around because we had a men's-women's doubleheader, was Detroit City defeating Charleston Battery 2-0. I'm trying to get a rundown on Battery's last run of form lately. Here we go. Battery's last matchup was they were off this past weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
They 3-1 win at home to Tampa, a 2-0 loss at Charleston Battery, 2-1 win for Sacramento.
They lost at Switchbacks.
Yep. Drew at San Antonio, 6-0 Orange County, and then lost 3-1 really at home versus Louisville. But other than that, this team has for the most part been getting results.
Yeah. I mean, they're they've got the 2nd best record in the overall table. I mean, this is year 2 of this project. They've got quite a bit of money.
Yep.
And they went out and went out and bought Aaron Malloy, and or signed him from Memphis, and they are, if you let them play, they're going to create a lot of chances. And Markanich is he's on a real kind of lifetime blinder kind of a season. Like he's hitting the ball pure. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it does worry me. It's not going to be an easy matchup.
Matt Myers has got 13 goals for them. Juan Torres 5 goals, 6 assists.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. But we showed earlier in the season. Now Markanich wasn't. I think he was dinged up when they played us last time. I don't think he played.
He did play.
Did he?
Did play. Yeah,
Okay.
he did, and they did a good job shutting him down. According to Fat Mob, I don't know anybody puts in the Fat Mob ratings. He was a 5.7.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think my memory of that match, and I'm trying. I haven't looked it up. I should have. My memory of that match is that we did a good job disrupting them and keeping them from really even moving into the attacking spaces.
They tried to put right with Yacaza at the central and Diego Gutierrez on the left, all behind Matt Myers. and you could tell, like, it seemed like every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they were trying to change up what they were doing because of them being frustrated by us.
Yeah, I mean, the way our midfield is playing, like if our midfield can bring the same kind of performance, I really could see, I could imagine Ben just spending all night, every 8 minutes standing up and screaming new instructions to his midfield. Like, okay, well, now you go to the touchline and you drop deeper. I don't know.
Caesar doing Caesar things.
Right, exactly. Well, and this is going to be a great matchup in midfield. Malloy is he can really like change the tenor of a match just by consistently dropping like perfect balls into the attacking spaces, like to where you're, every time you turn it over, 2 passes later the ball is like landing on someone dangerous's foot.
He's a 8.7 average rate. So
yeah, he's one of the highest rated guys in the league every year. I think he's the best midfielder in the league. Now, having said that, we have my guess is that Lai basically man marks him, because I think that's what Maxey did when he was playing in the 10, and I think that they'll just have Lai do it. And he's not very physical, Aaron Malloy is not a big dude.
He looked like a giant.
So I think that we're gonna, this is going to be a match that's going to be very heavily like moment to moment tactical. We move a guy around and that starts causing a problem, and then they do, and it'll be a constant back and forth of like things working and a reaction to that thing, and it'll be a match that rewards close attention, I would imagine. So that's great.
Question for the both of you gentlemen before we get into predictions on this one. Who do you think's got more to lose in this match? Charleston Battery being the home side, playing in front of their crowd, trying to they're not going to catch Louisville for top, but really get into there, or this Detroit City side, winners of their last 3 unbeaten in their last 5, playing road dog?
Who's got more to lose?
Yeah.
I mean, the nature of the decision matters. If either team wins 3-4-0, then the other team is going to be really shattered by that. It's going to be like, ooh, like, okay, maybe we're not ready for the postseason.
Right.
Like it'll prompt a lot of like the coaches won't sleep for a week. It'll just be like film, like oh my God, we're constant shitting yourself. But I think it's more likely to be, a close, tactical, gritty game that is decided by a break one way or the other, and that both teams will walk out of it saying, like, I think we got the better of that. So, that to me seems more. And in that case, I don't think either team is going to be too shook by it if it shakes out that way. If Charleston loses and it's like incredibly close, they're just going to be like, those dickheads just got us twice. Like, we're going to get them in the playoffs. I'm so ready to get them in the playoffs, right? And if we lose, we're going to be like, well, I mean, these dudes are second team, number 2 in the league at their place. Like, losing a close match is not like a shameful thing in this situation. Like, it's fine. If we lose 2-1, if that was a 2-legged playoff, you feel great about it, right? Like, okay, let's just take it back home. So I don't know. I don't think either team will the nature of the game will determine whether either team loses much. I imagine that they'll just kind of come out of it as the way professional athletes do, which is feeling like if they won, it was justice, and if they didn't, it was wrong. There's not. If either team is comprehensively beaten, then that will change.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, given what City has been able to do these past few weeks, beating New Mexico, beating Louisville City, beating Monterey Bay on the road, they've kind of set themselves up into a nice position here where, this game isn't as important. I mean, it's important, and I think Detroit need. I mean, if you need a direct answer, I think Detroit probably needs this win more than Charleston, considering the separation they have between third and fourth, and then fourth and fifth, and so on and so forth. But like you said, Sean, I think that if Charleston loses this one, it'll be we'll just get them in the playoffs. If Detroit loses this one, no shame in going and losing on the road to you know one of the best teams in the league. So it's I guess if you need an answer, I would say maybe probably Detroit has more to lose in this game just because of where they are in the positioning in the table. But ultimately I don't think that I think you just want to come away from this game looking competitive, whether you win or lose. You just don't want to go in here and get blown out. I think that's what that's something that could start raising some questions if you do get blown out or if you do suffer some type of big injury.
Right.
My question is what is the shape going to look like? Because the shape that we went out there with the last time we played Charleston and won. I mean, you had
Kind of like
Yazid and Victor Bandera up top
Yeah,
to
yeah.
start the game, and then Maxi dropping in behind him. And I can't remember the last time Yazid played in a game, but the last time Victor saw playing time was that loss against Tulsa, and that was it.
which their Chicago Fire coach that
Yeah,
was behind was I think Sean, you and I think we talked about this the last time we were on air. Might have, maybe not. So we're hanging out by the corner flag inside, and they're a little more inside, like along the touch line more than usual in the corner of the tent. And right behind us on in the West Grandstand on the fence line, which no one's usually allowed on the fence line, period, on that, is this guy yelling, and he's wearing a Chicago Fire Adidas polo. And I look and I ask the guy, "Hey, are you just got checking out Victor?" He goes, "Yeah, we're checking it." So, hey, and he's like, no, good looking out, guys. I saw it. Appreciate you knowing that. But he left at halftime, and Victor also got benched at halftime, subbed out at halftime on that one. So
I see why the Fire were willing to loan him. And it's never a joyous thing when you look at a player and go, okay, I think this is probably it for you. But that's what I feel when I see him playing. Like, okay, well, like you could drop down to League One and scrap around if you wanted to, maybe, or at least do some tryouts. But like, you're not a championship striker. Apologies. Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into like mourning Victor Bazer's career, but it is what it is. Like it's a rough old business, and basically no one makes it out alive. So it's fine.
I think it was in that game. It was Maxi, Ben on the right, Reese kind of playing, and James Murphy is kind of like an out. And I know Ryan Williams had a big role as a sub. I believe that was the scrum where Danny Dicchio talked about, Ryan for chats a lot, even for chats too much, even with him, made fun of him for being a scout. For it's a
Scouse.
West, and they're making fun of somebody making fun of a Scouser, which I laughed my fucking ass off. Internally inside hearing that.
Was he just saying it was like incomprehensible?
We have it's on YouTube. I can tell you that. Go back to it.
All right, I will.
YouTube. Adam knows the video. Adam can drop the link later on if anyone wants to check that out. Two-part question. Scoreline, gents, and does the Indy 11 match decide or wrap up whether we have a home playoff game the first weekend in November or not?
Okay, so
this weekend,
Sorry, I couldn't tell. My microphone, I thought it was muted for a second there.
Two-part prediction for scoreline for Charleston Battery Detroit City this weekend.
No, yeah, I got you.
And then second part is, does the matchup next weekend at home versus Indy 11 charity hit day, by the way, 4 p.m. Keyword Stadium, will that be what decides if Detroit confirms if Detroit City will be a home playoff side in the tournament?
Okay, so I think it's a 1-1 draw this weekend in
Okay.
Charleston. I think, we probably do give up a goal somewhere to them. Indy 11, I mean, yeah, I think we win that match, and I don't think it finishes the conversation, but it means that, like, if we win that match, we'd have to lose out basically to lose a home playoff spot.
Which is Miami and San Antonio after that.
Right, exactly. And like, I don't want to disrespect Miami, but I think we're probably, especially on our final home match, as we're trying to, like, strut into the playoffs. I think we're going to, like, show up there hoping to score 7,
How much I disrespect Miami. I'm not going to that game. Sorry, Miami, you suck. I'm not going.
I feel bad for, like, clearly they are starved of resources. And it must be, like, so soul crushing to just get your ass kicked again and again and again. They're out there, they are trying, they're not out there like, well, I mean, I've watched a few of their matches just as, like, let's see, have they given up? Do they look like, and they don't look like they've given up. They just look like they're overmatched.
I'm just picturing Sean with the Bart Simpson meme with carrying the cake that says "you tried" on it.
Yeah,
and just presenting that to Miami in a couple of weeks.
Well, it's like I think, isn't there a rumor that they're going to self-relegate down to, and, like, so I mean, it's totally like that you ought to relegate. Like, dude, you've won 3, drawn 2, lost 25.
Oh God.
They've been playing kids they basically, what happens, even though there's no more MLS 2 sides in the USL Championship, they basically have cut down instead of recruiting a bunch of outside, they brought up,
Right.
They're just playing kids.
Well, it's just I mean, it's just cheap.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, we'll loan, like, give us a bunch of $0 loans and we'll give them minutes. It's the kind of thing you do when, like, okay, like, like, I'm going to take everything back to Football Manager. This happens in the game where your owner just decide, like, you've got a tycoon owner who's just like, I'm not giving you any more money. Good fucking luck. And, so your payroll goes from, say, $750,000 a year to $220,000 a year. You're like, oh my God! Like, I can't even fulfill, like, current contracts with this. So you're having to, like, find the most, like, disposable of the expensive guys, and, like, figure out that you have to figure out who's the important, like, emotional keystones in the roster so you don't get rid of them. Like, oh my God, like, they are up against it down there, and I feel like I feel so much, kind of empathy for their plight. It's like, oh,
Apparently they do got some executive talent, because they have their CEO or CFO or whatever it was went to Wrexham in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so it's not like it's a organization or something without gems, because on there. However, now it does raise question, like you're saying, what is their future?
Right. I mean, yeah, I heard, I don't remember even where I heard it, but I heard that there's a couple teams talking about going to League One.
Right.
Is what I've heard. And it's, if Miami isn't just, like, boxing up the office and getting ready to fold, then I really hope they're moving to League One, because, like, this is rough, and I would hate to see them put, a bunch of teenagers through this again next year. Because, like, we're not going to take it easy on them. Like, oh, you got a bunch of free teenagers? All right, well, we're going to skull fuck you until you apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if skull fuck is it's a word I should be using.
Podcast, folks. Do not worry about us one bit on there. I mean,
I click the explicit box when we upload, so it's okay.
Okay, all right. We're skull fuck able.
Also, some other things that I step foot do on podcast is an explicit tag. So it's something that is used to it. We're good on there. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think, Adam, what did you say for scoreline?
I hate following Sean with this, but I agree. I was gonna say 1-1. I don't know who's gonna get the goals.
Great minds.
I want to say I don't think Elvis is gonna get a goal, even because he scored. I think the last time he scored was against Charleston. That one game.
I'm thinking.
God, I feel like Garrett with his memory right now.
Give me a minute. It's been a few months. Yeah. Fuck. No, Tampa.
Was it Tampa? Okay.
Charleston was his next to last goal. Tampa was his last.
So I'm not totally Garrett, so I apologize. Yeah, I was gonna go 1-1, and yeah, I mean the Indy game isn't going to completely seal it, but it's going to be one of those games where I think City wins, but it's all but certain. It's not official, but it's all but certain. So
I want City to get a clean sheet and just completely devoid Charleston Battery of goals this season. However, they are in Charleston. They got weapons. Ben Pierman probably is pissed off. I don't say petty because we're pretty petty, so I don't know petty.
Do we know what the state of the stadium is down there? I mean, they did just get a hurricane.
Patriots Point.
Are they good?
I'm guessing that I thought most of the.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I thought most of the hurricane damage and destruction, whatever, happened north of them. So it was North Carolina. Okay. So yeah. I don't know. It's a good question, Sean. I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe we would have heard by now, or something about it if it was a problem. But
I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday. They don't play till Saturday.
They don't play till Saturday, so
yeah.
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
We have seen weather delays in there. The last time we were there, pitch isn't the fully greatest quality wise already. So I mean, yeah, there's a good amount of couple questions on there. Everything in particular, that'll be very interesting to see. But I feel like though, I think I'm not gonna say we get a clean sheet. I don't want to do that, but I say we do the double. 2-1 City.
You're saying we're gonna beat Charleston?
Yes, we're doing the double.
Wow.
I don't think Markanich scores, but I think Torres, Yakaza, or Myers, one of their other three, is going to score for Battery.
Okay, if that's the case, Garrett, and they win, you said 2-1.
Yeah.
Does Ben get a yellow card in that process?
You mean Ben or James? Oh, Pierman.
Ben.
Yeah.
Pierman.
Ben Pierman. Ooh. Oh yeah.
I mean, he always has to, right? If they're losing 2-1,
I think he gets a yellow card every time we play him.
He'll get a yellow. I want to say I'd love for him to say he gets sent off, but I mean, I'm not going to be that much. I can't predict that much. I'm playing.
I'll tell you. I will say this. Here's your prop bet. If Charleston gets a red card, Ben will also get a red card.
Ooh.
He will shit himself with such a profound fury that the official will just be like, look, just go take a shower, bro.
I wasn't around for the Ben years. How was he against teams that previously beat them?
Like he likes to lean into the emotional side of the game. So he will be playing that up. Like, you owe these pricks,
How do you think that works? Do you think that's effective against professionals over
You know,
college kids?
oddly, I do.
Okay.
I don't think you get over your skis about it. It's not your entire strategy, but you do mention it,
Okay.
because every single one of these guys is like hyper competitive,
Yeah.
like, their main problem after football is like not coming across as like psychotically competitive dickheads in certain situations, right? So a little needling goes a long way. Sometimes it's just that simple. Look at how, just a little bit of kind of like face making and sort of dismissal, like, just wound Philip Goodrum up. Like,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Good
and
point.
he's one of those players that, like, he's such an emotional kind of powder keg that um and he's so talented that you really are kind of riding a knife edge there, because we have seen it where we wound him up and he has fucked us, in response. That FC Tulsa match that we lost last year, where we were leading and just kind of cruising, and Goodrum like took the game over and beat us with 2 goals late. He didn't get both goals. He set one up and scored one.
That sucked.
And, like, I was a little worried about that the other night. But the other thing is that we put our plan put our players in good situations against him, where he was trying to win aerial balls, trying to win aerial challenges against Michael Bryant. Like, okay, well, you're not going to win that. And like he's kind of starting to freak out about how thoroughly he's being like stonked, and he starts, kind of breaking the rules just to, like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So he's leading with his elbow and over and over again, like,
Yeah.
to where, like, he did it once and got yellow carded for it, and then he did it a couple more times, and Michael's like, geez, he keeps doing it. Like, he had time to go to the official and go, man, I think at halftime he went off pointing to his elbow. I think he was talking about Goodrum. Like, he leads with his elbow every time. Like,
And you saw the ref too when he gave him the red motioning twice.
right.
That was twice that you did
Right.
that you
He's
did
like, I
that,
just
so.
caught you again, dude. Like, you got nothing to say. Like, he went after that guy.
But then you have Philip and Wilson Harris up front together, and it's literally, they look like two children.
Yeah, they aren't, like, the thing is, like, for such a terrifyingly good duo, they don't look very terrifying. It's sort of like the Cole Palmer effect. Like, like, you really, it's just hard not to just demand Cole Palmer's lunch money. But just like, you owe it to me. Give me your lunch money, kid. But he's also like maybe the best form in the Premier League right now. And so, like, yeah, looks aren't everything. That's part of the beauty of football, right? Is that kind of, you don't have to have a certain vibe to be great at the game. Like,
I mean, does Messi look that intimidating?
Right. Yeah, he doesn't look intimidating. Like, and the thing is, there's nothing about his game that is like pompous. You know what I mean? Like, he's very unassuming. Like, he will absolutely kill you, and he's like incredibly competitive, and a great professional and all that shit. But, like,
You got a guy like Maradona too. Maradona never looked intimidating or anything.
Right. Like, I mean, there's like, I mean, I think about, like, oh shit, I just lost the name of this dude.
Hints.
Rios. He was a defensive midfielder who played briefly for the Fire. He was at the end of his career, Uruguayan guy. Kind of looked like a keg with legs, like, just the thickest dude ever. But
Eduardo Rios?
Maybe I don't know, man. My brain is not a memory retrieval device. Really, it's like vague impression. Like my entire memories are fucking pointless.
I know you're not talking about Blanco. I know that.
No. But I mean, again, look at that dude. Like he, like not an athlete, right? Like doesn't look athletic at all. It never looks athletic a moment during the game, but like an all-time great forward.
Oh, Arevalo Rios.
Yes, Arevalo Rios. Had a long career. Wasn't great with the fire, but like a striking physical specimen. Like just thickness as a human concept.
Dude, yeah. MLS Ronaldo. Holy, like Brazilian OG Ronaldo, not Cristiano.
Right. Yeah. Bald. Muscular.
Bald.
Have we lost the thread of this entirely?
Oh, this is really on cue for a lot of the stuff that we do. I think is
Danny though was
we're getting deep into name some guys territory. What were you saying about Danny?
Danny was an intimidating looking striker, right?
Danny's still an intimidating looking
He
dude.
still looks intimidating.
It's funny. I realized.
Except he's kind of soft spoken though. He's a soft spoken guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I realized that I had in my mind conflated Danny and a big striker who played for the Vancouver Whitecaps around the same time. Had like the goal of the year.
John Carew? No.
This is like 2009-ish.
Were Whitecaps in MLS then, or were they in USL?
Yeah, they were in MLS.
All right, hold up.
That's because I was covering MLS. What is that fucking dude's name? But like they looked kind of similar. They were kind of like big guys who had good feet. I was thinking that Danny had scored this like incredible Golazo goal of the year. And I'm thankful that I didn't ask him about it, because he probably would have been baffled, and I would have had to like discover later, like, oops, I thought you were this other guy.
Was it Omar Salgado?
No. Salgado was a left-footed dude they drafted and who was like really highly thought of, and who
Eric
Hostley. That's the dude.
I saw this French striker, 6'4", and when you go to his Wikipedia, he's got a bald head and a chin strap, and I'm like, yep, that's the fucking that's
Eric Hostley, the French Danny Dicchio.
Is that Adam? Is that Penelope? Which one is that?
This is Simon.
Simon, what's up?
Oh hey,
you like what?
I gotta get on. I gotta get in here for the dog content. I only had one screen up.
That's a cat.
Oh,
he's over 20.
I'm looking behind me like I'm going to show you my cat when I don't have a freaking camera.
The day that you actually have a camera,
I'll have to put a shirt on. Which is, man, it's going to be a bummer.
It was funny. Because when you were talking about players and we were talking about our deep thoughts, it made me think of our dear friend Jamie, aka Jam Jam, because I do know that I think she's about to have a review segment for a future Tunnel Talk on the reviewing the Detroit City squad, but not really so far as to the player ratings of footballing, but that's a tease for another time. And his colleague in Detroit City Supporter Radio too. So
let me just say, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to hear that, you're wrong.
No,
you want to hear what Jamie has to say.
Yep. So all of our
jam notes.
Yep.
Juice. What are the most important Detroit City supporters notes? Juice notes, Jam notes, Spence notes, and then. So, I think we've covered it. We're moving. We're making incredible ground for as much as I think we were covering. So, So I said 2-1 over Charleston. I didn't say the goal scores for us. Fuck, shocker. Ben gets his 9th. Maxie gets his 10th.
I'll go with Ben. I'll go with Ben scoring. But like I said, 1-1.
I'm going to go with a lay-drop screamer.
Oh, how many yards?
Yeah, like 23,
Left or
Is
right?
it bank off the crossbar and in, or is it
Yeah,
just clean?
Like, hey, you talked about prop bets. Let's talk prop bet. Are we talking clean hit? Are we talking left, right foot? What are we talking? Are we talking free kick? Are we talking open play?
No. Run a play. Yeah, I think he's a little better with his right foot, so I'm going to say right foot.
Adam, you're gonna make this sound down for our future prop bets on we'll drop our weekend prop bets on Thursday.
Well, judging how bad we are at football picks, probably not.
Yeah, I think that you should not be able to make prop bets by getting on your phone. You should have to go like meet a guy with like a scar and a bent nose and like who's like talks about the VIG like right away.
So is that
I know
Ramon or no?
DraftKings and like FanDuel is taking all the fun out of like shady
sanitize the whole shady betting industry. Now it's just like fucking tech bros.
Yeah,
getting that mobster money.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not a bet if you don't meet some big scary bald guy in some parking lot.
Yeah, when Tony Soprano said he felt like he was getting in the end, and he was right. He was right.
Oh God. We've covered a good amount of shit. We've talked the game stuff, and then I'll say Indy match decides. It'll decide if we get home. It won't decide if we get third or fourth. So, closing thoughts, gents. Do we have any? Adam.
No closing thoughts from me. Just let's keep this momentum going. Not just with all Detroit sports. So everybody needs to share this responsibility and keeping this momentum going. Whether it's the Tigers, the Lions, City this coming weekend. And it's all City this weekend. It's all City this weekend unless the Tigers make the playoffs because the Lions are on a bye.
So I'm going to say this: if the City has a tough weekend and the Tigers don't make the ALDS, that's why City had a tough weekend.
Yes, because the vibes
because the Tigers broke the vibe.
Yep. Yeah. And also, I don't want to sound like Garrett or anything like that with a shout out and shit, but because Garrett will sit here and shout out every single
talk.
Yeah, Garrett will sit here and shout out everybody.
It sounds like a Twitch chat, okay, thanks to Jam.
He has his list.
Dion, got some. That's 58 months for you guys.
I talked to Jackie for like 30 minutes last night. Jackie, I'm going to go ahead and shout out. Dan Campbell.
This is like a sicko session. Here we go again.
Dan Campbell wearing the Detroit City FC shirt, walking into Ford Field yesterday was really, really cool. Love seeing that. It was awesome, especially too after all these fucking clowns on social media, because I posted that graphic kind of highlighting the vibe of everything that's going on right now. We're sitting here like, oh, well, I see you tried to sneak soccer in there. Why's Detroit City in there? It's like, okay, you know what?
On you, yeah.
Well,
what was it?
Like,
either loved you for it or bitched about you for it.
Yeah.
I'm old. Like a lot of the guys complaining, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so I stopped caring what those fuckheads thought like 20 fucking years ago, 25 years ago. And so I'm gonna just try to attempt to share my disdain for them with you so that you can like take it and like make it your own. It's like a one of those bread starters. You just take a little bit of that disdain and keep it in your soul. It'll just grow and grow. You'll have so much disdain to share with them next time they come on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that
okay?
You?
Oh, sorry. I just got a text from work. It was like I was trying to like sneak it in. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this text real quick. Never mind. He can wait. He can wait 5 minutes. What were we talking about? I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm sure that everyone in the camp just wants to keep the vibes going, and doesn't want to think about it too hard, doesn't want to get too into it. And I hope they succeed at that, honestly, because this has been some really good football, and it's football that we've kind of grown here. It's not football that we've gone out and purchased a bunch of guys who've made a difference. Like we are punching at the top of the league with mostly the NISA All-Stars. And just watching these guys grow into the kind of final versions of themselves has been so fucking rewarding. Maxie, Reese, Stevie, Devin, Michael, all the NISA guys.
They're like Pokemon.
Connor. Yeah, exactly. They're I mean, what I see from all of them is that they're making good decisions based upon their games and their capabilities in the moment, and the overall structure, which means they understand both of those things, which is a lot to hold in your head. So all credit to the staff for getting them there. And let's long may it continue.
For me, we criticized, made fun, or joked about the club not commending, not jumping on trains where other people are wishing other teams in the city good luck and all that. They've since told me to they've proven me that my comments were null and void. Congratulating Tigers on Friday. And then acknowledging the commemorating with the Dan Campbell thing. The Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell showing up in a Detroit City FC shirt may be similar to John Glazer showing up on Tonight Show or Tonight, Fallon, in terms of that might bring some more growth to the brand. I
mean, you want to talk about putting it in front of regular dude eyeballs? Like, there you go. Like that's
Thing is too, it wasn't just like a regular new City cred. That was an older shirt.
21 shirt.
Yeah, that's an older shirt. That's like I think the only one they have available now are like the women's cut.
Yeah.
On the website. So I'm assuming, who runs the merch? Is it Kevin?
Yeah, probably Kevin.
I'm assuming they're probably going to have to go. They may have to go print more of those.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, we don't even have any of those left. Dan Campbell kind of gives me Tim Waltz vibes. Like they seem like similar personalities, like just sort of extremely upbeat, positive, kind of like leaders who are drivers but don't kind of make everybody feel driven.
Yeah.
And that's a rare thing. So
but yeah, I want to give shout outs to, that's my acknowledgments from that being done. Yeah, and I think also I think also too, I'll throw AJ Hinch in that mix too, with the manager stuff, cool coaches, because Danny DiCchio is kind of like that also. So, great to see all of that. Great to see this team rolling, vibing. It's a fun ride. Right? It's a fun ride, not for Detroit City. It's a fun ride for Detroit sports in general. May it continue to grow. Gents, we're going to do this again next week. Talk about Charleston preview Indy.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, so I mean,
we're in the stretch run here. Let's we got to up the tempo.
Let's ramp it up.
Wrapping it up, indeed. You can find us any of the Majors Detroit content at detroit.majorsports.com.
I didn't say wrap up. I said ramp up.
Oh.
I thought you had your producer hat on. Like, okay, wrap it up, bro. We've been recording for 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 50 seconds.
What is actually compared to some of our other recordings. Detroit.majorsports.com at MSNX Detroit. Mr. Sean Spence can be found at Skilled Scafing on Twitter, and you have an email for that as well, like skilledscafing.com.
Yep. Gmail. Yep.
And subscribe to his Patreon, $3 a month, words about shapes.
Doll hairs.
Doll hairs. It's the best. It's the best written stuff you can find related to supporter soccer content in the States. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, because this man's pretty damn good at what he does.
It absolutely is.
And you can find that Find Adam at TMSNX Adam, just destroying people's Twitter feeds with all these major graphics and stuff to the point where some people are like, "Isn't this spammy?" No, fix your goddamn algorithm. And then you can find the Twitter, Instagram, Discord at GM Comments. Find the 451 boys at 451 DET. YouTube, new name because the new channel 451. The lads are about to record a tunnel talk in about a couple minutes. I'll jump on. Adam might jump on if Dennis decides to show up.
No, I'm not jumping on.
Okay.
I am off to take my daughter to work.
Sean Spence, the northern metro, maybe close to Flint. Adam in the Metro West. Garrett here in the East. Thank y'all for checking out another edition of City Make Spence. We go fucking onward. Good night and good luck to you all.
See ya.